Welcome to the Moneyball Clinic. I took the top 30 leagues, simulated them in full detail, then smashed it all together to create an aggregated database. Across the next few episodes, I'll be using it to recommend potential signings at the beginning of the game for a variety of different budgets and levels. The defensive midfielder, known by many names. The six, the pivot, the Makalele role, the anchor, the regista, the metronome, the quarterback, the water carrier, the Muad'Dib. Let me interrupt myself. We'll be here all day otherwise. A reminder on the format. 9 players, all available at the start of the game, whose performances are much higher than expected for their transfer value. We'll be looking at a wide range of profiles, so I'll point out which metrics they excel in and how they could be best utilised, as well as the lowest rank of the following teams they'd consider joining. We start with the cheapest player on the list, Charlton's George Dobson. The 25-year-old former Arsenal and West Ham youngster can play multiple positions through the middle and is available for $475k. In the 90th percentile for tackles and possession won, Dobson is a dependable defender, but it's actually his creative output that draws my attention. Despite being in the 55th percentile for passes completed, he is above the 75th for expected assists, and this comes exclusively from open play. As you would expect for someone at this price point, Dobson is not perfect. His off-the-ball and positioning are less than ideal, but elite work rate and teamwork more than make up for it. Moreover, his dictates tempo trait is a good match for someone who can direct proceedings from deep. If you are looking to sign him from abroad, his low adaptability is something to consider, but can be mitigated in the right environment, whilst his high consistency is definitely appealing. Dobson is a really solid option if you're looking for some form of deep playmaker at around the Jupiler Pro League or MLS level. Next up, Paris FC's Samir Chergui. The 24-year-old centre-back is available for around 700k and is a bit of a left-field choice. Considering this is not his natural position, he's one-footed and his balanced personality might hide some less than desirable characteristics. The reason why he's on this list though is his ability to regain possession and his aerial presence, in the 95th percentile for both. Despite engaging in few tackles, Chergui has the third best win rate in this shortlist at 78.2%. That might be surprising, as his attributes suggest this is an area of weakness. Of course, more goes into winning tackles than just the tackling attribute, and his solid all-round game helps mitigate his supposed shortcomings. Chergui is adaptable and enjoys big matches. If you're looking for a low-budget anchor or halfback, then Chergui might be your man. His ability to read the game and sweep up loose balls is exceptional. That might not be enough of a contribution for teams at the very top of the footballing pyramid, but for those below, he can do a serviceable job. Lorient's Vestal Virgin Bonk Innocent is our next candidate, and he is more than just an amazing name. The 27-year-old can play midfield or defence, has a positive personality, and is available for around €1.5 million. He excels at pressuring and possession won, in the 90th percentile for both. Often a player who initiates pressure isn't the one to then regain the ball, and so Innocent is quite unique in that regard. In the 95th percentile for goals, he's able to contribute further up, even if he isn't a particularly creative player. There's nothing special about his attribute profile, but also nothing alarming either. He is capable at pretty much everything and has the fitness to maintain it over the course of a season. Innocent relishes the big occasion, and I want to see more. So I took over at Lorient, set him up as a Carrilero in an otherwise rather basic 4-3-3, then went on holiday for 6 months. My conclusion is that he excels in chaos. Innocent is a decent tackler who is able to get back and make last-ditch tackles, but a lot of his ball recoveries came from reacting to loose balls. His lack of traits means he's not super aggressive in getting forward, allowing him to take up positions outside the box in space. He thrives from opposition mistakes. If Dobson is a playmaker and Chergui is an anchor, then Innocent is the third defensive midfield archetype, a hustler. He's the engine of the team who has proven he can be effective at the top level of a top 5 league, yet he is willing to play much lower. That's a tough act to follow, but Thiago Silva is surely the best person for the job. Not that one. This one. The 30-year-old Victoria midfielder is the oldest candidate in this list and available for $2.5 million. At first glance, Silva doesn't appear to be anything special, but contributes effectively in all phases, in the 75th percentile for progressive passes, expected assists and tackles won, and 70th percentile for goals. His tackle win rate is exceptional at 82.8%, a whole 4.5 points ahead of the next best player. This is borne out in his attributes. He's aggressive, works hard, and pretty much able to do everything except compete for headers. He does like a long shot, so be wary if you prefer to work ball into the box. Silva is consistent, and there are no major concerns flagged by his scouting report. A creative force with a willingness to get stuck in. Silva's got plenty of years still in the tank, but might be best suited to a team looking for a deep-lying or roaming playmaker to act as a bridge in the short term whilst a promising youngster is slowly integrated. Bala Uchan is a player I brought up back on the first Moneyball clinic, Wolves, and he's here once again because I'm a sucker for a resolute personality. The 29-year-old Besiktas midfielder is available for around €2.7 million. Defensively, he's better sweeping up than harassing, in the 85th percentile for possession won and tackles compared to 35th percentile for pressures. He is a progressive passer in the 90th percentile and does so without being risky with the ball, in the 95th percentile for possession lost. Uchan is at his best as a fulcrum at the base of midfield. He does like a through ball, as indicated by his traits, but clearly he has sufficient decision making and technique to do so safely. He's a little on the slow side, so it may be wise to partner him with someone a little more mobile. A perfect sweep of hidden attributes. Uchan is consistent, adaptable, and likes big matches. It would be tempting to suggest him as a deep-lying playmaker, but to me, Uchan is best utilised as a halfback. Someone who will split the centre-backs and help build from deep, whilst being able to break the lines in later phases when the ball is recycled. Next is Bochum's Kevin Sturger. The 29-year-old is the most versatile player on this list, and the only left-footer. He can be yours for $4.5 million. Sturger is a ball hog. In the 95th percentile for passes completed and progressive passes, he's not just passing sideways and backwards. 1.44 open play key passes per 90 is in the 98th percentile. You cannot find a player as creative for so cheap. He isn't great defensively, but above the 50th percentile for possession and tackles won, he is not a liability. A look at his attributes only confirms what we see with his output. Sturger is an elite passer with a wonderful eye. His shortcomings in the aerial game should be easy to mitigate. He's a tempo setter who likes to play long balls, so will be useful in a team with threats in behind. There is one snag. He is not particularly good at acclimating to new environments, and so you'll need to consider how you will make sure he feels welcome if you're a foreign club. Sturger is a player I would be looking at if I needed a Register, a term which, in German, surprisingly still sounds quite elegant. Der Register. A less mature creator might make a joke about Rafael Onyedika's surname. Not me. Nah. The 22-year-old Bruges midfielder can play virtually anywhere through the middle and is available for $7 million. He doesn't necessarily have the highs of some of the other candidates, but what sets him apart is the lack of lows. Only dribbles per 90 is below the 50th percentile, and even then, only just. In the 80th percentile for expected assists, goals and shots, Onyedika is dynamic going forward without compromising on defensive solidity. From an attribute standpoint, he is well-rounded. Not one for the unexpected, nor the greatest finisher, but he does have elite determination. Onyedika is a blank slate when it comes to traits. With strong performances in all phases, this gives you a lot of freedom to shape him into the type of player that you want. He has the perfect combination of adaptability, consistency, and big matches. A great option as a box-to-box midfielder or segundo volante. Onyedika is one of my favourite options on this list. He can do it all, and at 22, he's got plenty of time to develop further. Our penultimate candidate is RB Salzburg's Nicolas Capaldo. The 24-year-old, who can also play on the right, is available for exactly €10 million. Capaldo has a really interesting profile. In the 99th percentile for passes completed and 95th for progressive passes, he is a ball-hungry player who is both safe and creative, in the 90th percentile for possession lost and expected assists. He is also the best on this list when it comes to distance covered, averaging over 13 kilometers per 90. Capaldo doesn't contribute much to the press, nor is he a goal scorer, but what he does well. It's all underpinned by his elite endurance. Natural fitness, stamina and work rate, all at 16 or above, shows for a player who will be an engine in the heart of midfield, and his gets into opposition area trait aids his ability to impact at that top end of the pitch. Once again, the full suite of high adaptability, consistency and big matches. Capaldo is another strong candidate as a box-to-box midfielder or segundo volante. He has the ability to impact the game in all phases, although I'd probably want to alter his traits given his lack of goal-scoring instinct. We conclude with a little bit of controversy. Krasnodar's 23-year-old Armenian Eduard Spurtsian. The attacking midfielder is available for €10.5 million, and whilst being natural in more advanced positions, his best position, according to the game, is central midfield. In the 95th percentile for expected assists and 90th percentile for all shooting metrics, it is no surprise that Spurtsian impacts the game high up the pitch. He makes 2.06 key passes per 90, with a third of that coming from set pieces. But he is being compared to central midfielders here, and so it is impressive that he is holding his own in both possession metrics, and his 77.2% tackle rate is rather encouraging. Attribute-wise, it's what you might expect from a more attack-minded player. His elite off-the-ball movement makes him difficult to pick up, whilst there are some clear shortcomings in terms of defensive ability, work rate and determination. Yet none of these have held him back when it comes to performance. Once more, he is adaptable, consistent and relishes big matches. Like with Innocent earlier, I wanted to see more, and so took over Krasnodar and popped him as a roaming playmaker in a basic 4-3-3, and went on holiday for 6 months. As the highlight reel plays, let's explain some of the behind the scenes process. Once I get the shortlist down to 9 players, I pick out just 1 or 2 who most intrigue me. These are the players whose clubs I will take over and run these short simulations. I'm just looking to affirm assumptions and get some highlights with the player utilised in a system I think would suit. Spurtsian was an absolute revelation. 19 goal contributions in 24 games is insane. There was an argument to use him higher up, but I love the profile of Spurtsian as a roaming playmaker, someone who uses his elite movement to find pockets of space, but still contributes in all possession phases. So there we have it, 9 midfielders. Is there anyone in particular who piqued your interest? Or maybe you found someone in your saves that you'd like to recommend? Let me know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this, please consider subscribing for more similar content. We're off to Brazil next as we look to see if we can do what Fernando Diniz couldn't, before then returning with another shortlist for strikers. See you then. The Keystone Cop, Larry the Labrador, the Chudspar General, the Periwinkle, Colonel Sanders' granddaughter, Bagpuss, Agamemnon's dandruff, the Enforcer, and Fotheringaye.